We have time for one final lesson on making your own beaded chain. So I was in the department store looking at jewelry and clothes, and I saw a beautiful rosary style necklace. And when I got home, I tried to recreate my own version, and that became this. This is one of my favorite color palettes, but you know, it just didn't have kind of that spark that I was looking for. I really love the colors, I like everything about it, except for it needs some texture. So my next version of this was to start adding some different shapes of beads. Here, I added rondelles and some carved silver beads in with the rounds, and look how different this looks. Now, if you really want to get that look of beaded chain, you also need to use a heavier gauge of wire. So I'm using 18 gauge wire to create this necklace. What you'll do is cut a piece that's about, I work with a piece that's a lot longer than what I need, and then I just continue working from the same piece. So what I'll do is use my round nose pliers to make a loop on the end. And this is just a basic loop with the pliers. So the more loops you make, the better it gets, the easier it gets, the faster, and they look more consistent. But you can also use eye pins for this type of project. The heavier gauge of wire, I just like the effect of the way it makes the chain look. So then I make another basic loop and trim this one flush. Now when you're ready to make the next one, you can use the same piece of wire. So rather than pre-cutting all of the pieces and taking the time to do that, I just cut a piece that is comfortable for working with, and then make all of my links. So what I did for this necklace is I took several strands of beads, and I just made links with all of them. Then you're ready to start designing. And I use my flush cutter here. And you don't have to make sure that these loops are perfectly closed because we're going to open them to relink them together anyway. So take a look at some of the beads that I'm using here. This is Imperial Jasper, and I love this for this type of necklace because it has a really calming influence. But also you've got that rondelle shape. This bead is the lapis color, and it has the round shape again, which is fine because we're just using it as punctuation. The silver spacers add a little bit of accent too. Then we have some rondelles with spacers on the ends. So I started with the turquoise and brought in some areas of pattern. So let's say you want to separate these apart. You can bring in your round bead with your spacer. And that kind of breaks up the pattern a little bit, but it still looks pretty much the same. A lot of consistency here. So you might want to bring in then one of these metal beads. And that gives your eye a place to rest. So then you start repeating this type of pattern. So I have silver lentil shape here, and then a rondelle, then my lapis. I might want to add another silver bead here, just to break it up a little bit more. Now, when you get to the center, one thing to keep in mind is you'll want to make a link that has a larger loop at the top. So use the very base of your round nose pliers to make a really big loop. And that's how you're going to hook together those two centerpieces to hang down to your pendant. So you would just loop your two pieces here, and this would create both sides of your chain. So now you can add another bead here, and then begin your drop. So let me bend this one, and let's take a look at the purple necklace because that really shows the center dangle part. If you look right here, you have a large loop at the top, and then you're dropping down to your pendant, which also is requiring a larger loop. So this just gives you some texture and adds a lot of interest for your stylish jewelry designs. I hope you'll take advantage of blogs like Andrew's for inspiration for more trend-inspired projects, and also follow along on my blog too.